We've got a very interesting handicapping situation for Thursday night football in NFL Week 14. And as always, we're going to cover this game with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com on Monday afternoon. I'm Peter Loshak. You're watching SBR Videos. Joe Duffy, interesting situation here, right? What to make of Minnesota. They were a point spread covering machine for most of the season. They've gotten blown out 2 out of their last 3 games, though, of course. They got blasted by Seattle. And Arizona, definitely the kind of team that can blow out a vulnerable team, when they're matched up against them, especially on a short week, and especially at home. The market seems to be very uncertain about this game as of right now. Arizona is a 7 or 7.5 point home favorite, so it's off the key number. Total all over the place, 45, 45.5, and 46 are all available market-wide. Arizona crushed St. Louis last week, and I guess the only issue here is just, well, first of all, how much does a short week hurt or help each of these teams respectively, and what to make of Minnesota right now. I did take a shot on the opening line on this one. I took the under at 46. I think I'm liking it. I think that as explosive as Arizona can be on offense, probably Minnesota is going to play their standard type of game, and on a short week, Arizona won't try to run up the score late if they get a big lead. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, what's your take on this game and these lines?
Well, Peter, it's appropriate I'm doing this with somebody named Peter because Minnesota is one of my Peter Principle type teams where they have beaten up on inferior foes. But look, the toughest teams in the AFC that they'll face this year, Green Bay, Seattle, and Arizona. Well, this is their 3rd game in that stretch. First 2, they lost both of them by a 68-20 margin. And those were 2 of the last 3 games. Of course, the only exception which they won were against the Atlanta Falcons, a team that's in complete disarray. The last, 6 weeks, the Falcons have been arguably the worst team in the NFL. Meanwhile, Minnesota, they kind of had a scheduling dichotomy. 6 of their previous 8 games were on the road. Now they finally return home. In fact, teams that have won 6 straight and returned home off of 2 straight road games are 26-14, and that's especially noteworthy because generally it's good to fade hot teams. Teams that are on a 6-game winning streak are just 47.9 overall, but under the rare circumstances that Minnesota is under 24-14, or I'm sorry, in the rare circumstances that Arizona is playing under 24-14. But again, since Minnesota has failed to the top teams in the NFC, and both of those games, by the way, were at home. Now they hit the road. I think it's going to get a little ugly.
David Johnson came in, and there wasn't much of a drop-off, if any at all, after the injuries to Chris Johnson and Andre Ellington. So it sounds like you're going to be leaning towards giving Arizona -7 as a free pick here, Joe?
You got it, sir. And I do think we talked about the short week. I think it'll benefit Arizona a little bit more because Minnesota has a bunch of walking wounded guys, but you are correct. Arizona laying the number.
All right. Well, we've seen a lot of teams as big favorites get covers, and the games still go under in recent weeks. We saw this with Arizona last week. We've seen it with Cincinnati a few weeks. In light of your lean on Arizona -7, what do you think of my lean to the under at 46?
Yeah, that's one of those myths, although, 46 isn't all that low of a total. But I know a lot of people say if you go with the big favorite, you got to like the over. If you go with the big underdog, you got to like the under. The correlated bets, I've done a study of that. There's no correlation between the two. Yeah, I would say the under is a pretty good bet because Arizona is certainly a ball control team, and I think they can wear Minnesota down, especially that Minnesota is banged up a little bit. And I do think that I can see them going to a ball control game, and certainly for Minnesota to use their running game to try to keep it close. So that would be a pretty good play.
All right, well, there we have it. Maybe we'll have 2 winners this Thursday. Joe Duffy liking Arizona -7, going official with that one. I'm still liking the under. 46 is still available market-wide. Joe Duffy, OffshoreInsiders.com is your website. Successful career going on 30 years now, and successful this season, right, Joe?
Fantastic. Actually, we filed this before the Monday night game, but we're coming off a 3-1 Sunday. The only loser was a money line underdog. We didn't pay any juice on it, but spectacular year, spectacular Sunday, and I'm pretty sure we're going to close it off with a winner on Monday. Just visit OffshoreInsiders.com. Haven't really added anything for this weekend yet, but we do basketball, great basketball, OffshoreInsiders.com.
Thanks, Joe.